So, meeting is called to order. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Oh.
Yep, we weren't recording.
Now that we're recording.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. So we'll look at the minutes from the last meeting. And thank you very much, Ellie, for writing all of this up. Are there any questions that we had? Any discussion? Anyone want to move that we approve the meeting?
I'll make a motion to
minutes?
approve the meeting minutes.
All
Need a second.
All right, wonderful, thank you very much.
Can we have to vote?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay. The minutes are approved from the February 13th meeting. We are looking to review the mission statement and action steps of the committee. Lon, did you have that printed out?
I did.
I don't either. Do you have those?
Okay.
Was it on the Dropbox?
Because we could,
Was it on the Dropbox, or did you just send it?
I just emailed it back
You emailed
a
it?
while ago, yeah.
Okay. Robin, do you have the mission statement readily available?
Yeah, did you say you just sent it, or?
I do have it.
Oh,
Would
you
you
do?
like me to read it out loud?
Yes, please.
All right, so as proposed, our draft of the mission statement is the duly appointed Newbury Lower Green Local Historic District Study Committee is responsible for conducting an investigation to determine the desirability and feasibility of establishing a local historic district inclusive of the Newbury Lower Green, considering the historic significance of all buildings, structures, features, sites, or surroundings that would be included in such proposed local historic district.
Beautiful. I think that is very all-encompassing and eloquently done. Any discussion?
No? Do we have a motion to accept it?
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, wonderful. All right, so that passes. Thank you very much for drafting that one. That was very nicely done.
We also have purpose and goal.
Mhm.
Would we like to go over that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as proposed, and I think I'll have to read through because there was potentially some edits to it. Let's see, hang on one sec. All right, I will read the first draft here. To protect the historic Newbury Lower Green and the natural and built environment surrounding it for future generations to enjoy and experience the visual sense of the past history of our town. A Lower Green local historic district will create neighborhood stabilization and community pride and forever provide Newbury school children with a playing field and educational opportunities. The intent of this local historic district is not to halt growth, but rather to allow for harmonious changes and additions to building exterior architectural features visible from several public ways and discourage the intrusion of incongruous elements that might detract from the aesthetic and historic value of the district.
Wonderful, well said. Well said. Is there any discussion?
Let's see.
And what are we calling that? Purpose?
That
Purpose and
purpose,
goal.
purpose
Purpose,
and
oh,
goal.
purpose and
Yeah.
goals, okay.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so is there a motion to accept?
Happy to accept?
Just hold on one moment, I think. So we did note that we wanted to potentially rephrase the last phrase. So the last phrase would have been, The intent of this local historic district is not to halt growth, but rather to allow for harmonious changes and additions to building exterior architectural features visible from several public ways, and discourage the intrusion of incongruous elements that might detract from the aesthetic and historic values of the district. And then we were wondering if the last phrase posed as a negative may send a message that could be taken badly in some areas.
Yes.
So perhaps we should say something that MHC notes that is, quote, to maintain and improve the settings of those buildings and places, and to encourage new designs compatible with existing buildings in the district.
I think I like that, and I like
Yeah.
the architectural features was a phrase that was striking somewhat problematic with me, only because it's a very limiting term, and there's a lot of things that we may wish to include in the local historic district that aren't necessarily buildings, such as walls, fences, and the argument can be made that that is,
Yeah.
I was thinking about burial grounds,
Right,
so if we
right.
take the word just, buildings or,
That's a good point. We
Yeah,
had
that's a
a
great
problem in
point.
Raleigh not too long ago where a homeowner on a historic building put a 8-foot fence
Oh,
up
yeah.
around the whole
Fence.
thing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
And that would be,
right, so that's not an
Incongruous.
architectural feature,
Yeah.
right, but it is,
Yeah.
it is
yeah,
a
so
feature that's
so to
built, so,
have something broader in mind as we stated.
right.
I think that's a really good point, because I do want to read a letter that I received from a neighbor into the record about such a possible misunderstanding. And I think the rephrasing is very well said.
So if we were gonna change it, the last phrase, I'll start with what we have. So the intent of this local historic district is not to halt growth, but rather to allow for harmonious changes and additions to, okay. We'll have to figure out exactly how to phrase this in a sentence. So the intent of this local district is to maintain and improve the settings of those buildings and places, and to encourage new designs compatible with existing buildings in that district.
Excellent.
Right, that's taking the MHC kind of wording.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
excellent.
buildings and places I think is broad enough.
After I brought up that example, when Rowley, do we need to be concerned about putting the word like obstructions?
I think that's something that when we get into the nitty gritty of what will specifically be covered in this local historic district, certainly. But in terms of our purpose and overall goals, I
Okay,
think
good.
it's the
Okay, that's
building,
true. This doesn't
the
have to be a
setting.
catch-all.
Right, correct, it just needs to be
Good
broad
point.
enough that it can refer to that, doesn't exclude things.
Great point. Excellent point.
All right, so I can reread the purpose and goals so that we can all agree on it. How's that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Currently, the purpose and goal is to protect the historic Newbury Lower Green and the natural and built environment surrounding it for future generations, to enjoy and experience the visual sense of the past history of our town. A Lower Green local historic district will create neighborhood stabilization and community pride, and forever provide Newbury school children with a playing field and educational opportunities. The intent of this local historic district is to maintain and improve the settings of those buildings and places, and to encourage new designs compatible with existing buildings in the district.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Did you want to say anything, Robin?
No, that's better, I think, yeah.
Much better. I'll entertain a motion to accept the goals and purpose and goals.
Purpose and goals.
Purpose and goals.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Excellent. And then action steps.
So, do we have anything drafted for that, or just we'll come up with some action steps?
I think this, I don't know if this was different actually, other than, I think when we initially talked about the mission statement and such, we want to post this on our website, is that correct? So that the broad
Yes.
public, when
Yeah.
they go
Yes.
to our, were the action steps something that we wanted to include in that public realm? Maybe a link to, for instance, the MHC guidelines or
Great
those
idea.
action steps, or something, maybe a pared down version of that, of,
Yeah,
You know, we will
pared
go
down
to-
version
we will-
of what the 50 pages of.
yeah, at least here's the order of
Executive
operations
summary.
that we will do. We will discuss community
Yeah, we're-
review, eventually go to town meeting.
We're not out to set up our own process. We'll follow what's
Right,
standard
right.
procedure.
Excellent, yeah.
Correct, but
Excellent.
those are the action steps to which this refers, and that is something that, we definitely don't have a drafted currently, but, that can be arranged. Okay.
That's an excellent point. Very, very good idea. I think also, another action step, I don't know if this, something that we did was, there was a quorum of us that went for a walk to look at the boundaries of the district. So, I believe that we can say that that was an action step that we took, because it was active.
I would agree.
So we looked at several points, Robin and Ellie. So it was Lon Hoffmeister, myself, Joy Michaud, and Madison Vlass. That's right. We took a walk on Thursday the 9th of the Lower Green neighborhood and looked at the architecture, the monuments, the burial grounds. There are 3 that we went for. They're 3 historic burial grounds. And what else did we look at? We looked
Old
at
cemeteries.
the
3 of them.
cemeteries, the cemeteries, the monuments, the houses, the area of the Lower Green. Does it stretch? How far does it stretch over the bridge? If it stretches, all the way to a certain point of High Road, or where's the cutoff? And we really found kind of a distinctive cutoff at Tory Lane, and possibly the old cemetery over the Parker River Bridge, the John Hayden Bridge. We looked at that because those went back to 1750s, was it, 1750s?
And even older on the
I think
first
so.
settlers.
Yeah.
Because the first man-child born is buried there, right? Edward Woodman, I believe.
I'm
The
sorry,
one
first
over
one.
the bridge?
It's in a book. It's the first man-child born in Newbury is buried there with his father.
Over the bridge?
No, that's the first settlers.
Okay, so what we had talked about was possibly
And that one too.
starting at the old cemetery before the bridge, going south to Rowley, possibly including that, and then all the way up to Tory Lane, and maybe doing a spot designation for the old cemetery.
When you say old.
The first
First
settlers
settlers,
burial
first
ground.
settlers, yeah.
First settlers burial ground.
Okay, so you're saying the bridge is included
Yes,
in order to reach that cemetery?
yes. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think.
Is that a stretch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I think I'd
stretch.
stop it at the river.
Okay, so say at the Dole Little House.
Because there's nothing else
and
over
then-
there.
No,
And
there's,
certainly the bridge is not historic
No.
anymore.
no.
Yeah.
Anymore, but it was a historic
was.
crossing.
It
place.
does have a listing on
And I've got
HC as well.
pictures of all
Um,
last 3 bridges
Yeah.
in there.
Actually, I'd like to bring up, I made a map of the district, and the properties that at our last meeting we had discussed as probable, and I'm sorry, I did have printouts of this and I left this in the car. So they're downstairs, but it's on our Dropbox, and I have a PowerPoint pulled up with this image in it, but I've outlined the properties that had been affirmed in terms of in this district, as well as boundary properties surrounding them. So all of the properties in red here are the ones that, and Robin, on the Dropbox, it's labeled, there's a PowerPoint labeled district boundary discussion, I think it is, and this information is in there.
Did you include the Greenbelt property? We didn't talk about that on the walk.
Yes, so hold on,
Okay.
so there's this, these are all of the properties in blue right here that we talked about last meeting. And then all of the red ones, I basically surrounded all of our properties and created an enclosed buffer zone so that we can go through property by property and determine whether they should be in the district, or so that the record indicates why they should not be in the district, so that we've discussed them. And a lot of them are very easy, they're very modern and no historic value, so there's a good reason. But a lot of these properties, I want to make sure that I'm not missing any that you guys are discussing, because I did not go south of the river. And so the bridge and the burial ground south of the river are options, and then there's quite a few others that we can go through. But I have photos of all of them that we can kind of talk about.
So shall we start at the bridge then?
Well-
Remember the bridge, you can take properties, they don't have to be contiguous, as the lady said when she went. So we could actually do the cemetery south of the bridge as separate.
All three cemeteries are not contiguous.
No, right.
Yeah, I mean, that's from, at least the way we were talking about doing it. Yeah.
Or Evergreen might be.
Evergreen might be if we went down, all the way down the road there, good point, yeah. Even though there are no houses there.
So, well, that's an
After
interesting
Willett.
point. There's a number of empty lots actually in the buffer zone that we may want to include for potential because
Right.
of how they could be developed. Look at right behind the Sutton
Yeah.
Tavern, what happened. So, so anyway, that's interesting. Okay, so 3, are they cemeteries though?
Yes.
They're burial grounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I
thank
got
you,
it.
yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, burial,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What is, why is that a distinction?
Well, there's 3 actually different distinctions.
That's true. Go for it.
So a cemetery in this day and age is an institution, so it's something that is run and managed. It's not, it's relatively secular. A burial ground is something that just about every town had, and it was a place that people were buried, but it wasn't necessarily connected to a church.
Ah,
And a
okay.
graveyard is connected to a church.
Interesting, I didn't know that,
didn't know that
yeah.
But you can have something that is
And
called
I was on a
burial ground.
cemetery board for 28 years, and I didn't know that.
But you can have, I mean, there's an overlap, right? We have graveyards that no longer have churches.
Right.
But they are still considered graveyards or called that because of how
So
they're found.
graveyards would be sacred ground,
Mhm.
burial grounds.
Interesting.
I don't know if burial grounds had to be consecrated ground.
I don't know either.
Yeah, they may have been, but they at least didn't have a congregation next to it. It was
Okay.
more of a general.
So we misnamed our burial ground, and it is the Port Blakely Cemetery, only it's not.
It's not.
It's really the Port Blakely Burial Ground.
This
This
in
is out in
Washington.
Seattle.
This is out in Seattle, which has nothing to do
Nothing
with
to do with it.
this.
Well, I'm just surprised at the terminologies. It's,
No, I never
Yeah,
heard that before,
me
and
either.
I'm grateful for the distinction. Thank you very much on that. So, we're still looking at what we're looking at for the boundaries. This is up for
Yes.
discussion
Yeah.
now.
This is, okay, so, then our feelings about the bridge, did we?
I think,
Robin, any reason the bridge should be in our boundary? Or stop at the shoreline on the north shoreline?
The stop of the North Shoreline, I don't think, because it's a
Yeah.
complete replacement.
the Madison and Ellie brought up a really good point, that it's a historic crossing.
It is, it was the original crossing when there was a ferry before they even built the bridge. So
Yeah.
it does have that historic sort of position.
Now, the landing, I agree. The
Yeah,
landing should
I
be in
agree,
it.
Yeah,
It's got Parker River Landing, but it's got a name. I can't remember what it
But
starts with an
I'm
M.
not sure whether, because it's a brand new bridge, by designating it within the historic district, would that create issues with the owners of the bridge?
Well,
good.
Is it publicly owned? Is it state owned?
I believe it's.
Yes,
state-owned.
it's
Would
state
the
owned.
would own
The
it.
only, so a few things with that we've seen in other towns that have bridges is that one, like in Townsend. There's historic properties on either side of that bridge in Townsend, and they're protected by historical districts as well as easements. And they had a huge project in the last few years of redoing that bridge, and it was raised, and that caused, that drastically changed the feature of that very, very historic crossing. And then secondly, it's also, and this may not matter if it's in a historic district, but it affected those historic buildings, like the actual work. They had to stabilize this mill. It's a grist mill that is in the water partially, and they had to make sure it didn't affect that. But it can be a headache because it will include a lot of.
All right.
Yeah. That was perfect.
Okay. So that means that we do not want to include the bridge.
What's that?
Right.
I
Okay,
shouldn't
but-
have done that.
okay.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
So
Because it's
if
not
we
historic itself.
acknowledge the historic crossing on the north side of the bridge, I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
And we can certainly include it in our report as to the historicity of
Yes,
that area
excellent,
and
yeah.
not the actual fabric that's there.
Okay, that's
But not
perfect.
include it.
So when we did the walkthrough, we proposed, say, from, as we just discussed, the north side of the bridge to Tory Lane.
Right.
Yeah.
And
This is up High Road.
High Road.
on High Road 1A.
Yeah.
We went down Newman Road past your house, Robin, and then the Seton Tavern, obviously. But is your property considered the corner? It's not really. It's not the corner of High Road,
No.
right? No. It's Newman Road, all right.
Yeah.
But we're looking at kind of the confines of the lower green itself, and then, kind of expanding that into the architecture and the buildings around the green, as well as a little bit further afield.
And also the green belt, which is not.
Oh yes, Greenbelt, right. Greenbelt, and also trustees.
And trustee.
So what I had proposed during our walk was that we we draft a letter to Greenbelt and to the trustees, just letting them know that this effort is underway.
Good idea. Yep. Because there's no reason why it shouldn't go up to the top of Old Town Hill anyway, where there is reputedly an old Indian settlement.
Where? Old Town Hill?
Yeah, right at the very top. There's supposed to be a burying ground right at the very top.
This
Really?
TOR. Okay, yeah.
I didn't know that. How did you find that out, Robin?
It's
that
in
lore?
Like 5,000 years old. It's sort of, they might have done some excavation work
Wow.
top of the hill. It's recorded somewhere or other, but
It's actually mentioned in a book by E. Vale Smith
Oh.
from 1854.
oh well, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
It's not, no maps though, it's just described.
yeah.
Interesting.
Do you remember what the name of the book is?
No,
Okay.
but that's the author, and that's the date.
Vale.
E. Vale, V-A-L-E,
D.A.L.E.
Smith,
Smith.
1854. I've got the book,
Wow.
but
I'd love to do a little.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I've got actually I could give you all the pages right now, off of it, all the pages that describe the early Native American settlement and stuff like that, and how they were, who they were fighting and all that stuff.
I think it's
About 40 pages. Give me my thing back and I'll drop it out. Well, I just gave it to the Historic Commission, so.
So I do think that it's important when we do write up our findings and, to mention the Native American population, the indigenous population, that was obviously here well before the first settlers. As it's an area rich in human cultural history.
And I think we should try to be careful about using the term. I know there's the organization, the First Settlers, sons and daughters of the first settlers, but I think it's more appropriate to use first European settlers.
I think that's an excellent point, because it's Eurocentric, and not to acknowledge the first peoples, the First Nations that were here, I think would be another travesty. Yep.
I'm just gonna float a term out there in terms of, as opposed to settler, and just give me your reactions to this, but one of the, I've been doing a lot of reading and research into Indigenous scholars and activism and the way that they prefer to kind of refer to history, looking at it from a, we were here first and then we've been erased, sort of
Yes.
how it has happened. And they prefer the term colonist or colonizer. I don't know if that's something that maybe has a political turn to it in this day and age, but just something to consider. Because we use the colonial word a lot.
We do use the colonial term. We use it in terms of architecture.
Even just time period.
Exactly.
Right.
I think European colonists would hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
With all due respect to, the sons and daughters of the first European settlers of Newbury, I think European colonists would be more appropriate to our purpose, because I think it's very important, I believe, to acknowledge the history of the cultural settlement of this area that goes back how many thousands of years. So I absolutely agree with that. Let's see.
I don't want to rush us, obviously, if we're still kind of ad hoc talking about certain properties. When we get to a point, if we could go around and actually look at all the properties, that would be really helpful. I'm not sure if we can get up with that.
We did that, but
Yes, no. But
this
not
is
on
a
record,
sensitive
right?
subject.
That was something in person that wasn't filmed, and so is not publicly available
Oh, I
to
see.
everyone else.
I
So,
see. Yeah. Not
for the record, making
yeah.
sure that they know our deliberations and why we've chosen our boundary. I don't know if there's an HDMI over there, but
It's the history of Newbury. But here's it's on there now. It's like
I'm not
80 megabytes.
Wow. Yes. Wow, that's wonderful.
I'm gonna see if I can share my screen up here. I'm not sure if that's possible, but. Courts.
I have your PowerPoint up on my.
Could you share your screen then?
No?
Couldn't find my glasses.
Oh, no, I've got it on my
Are
laptop.
they on your head?
No, they're right here.
Not the right screen.
I thought I put them over here.
I can't find them around my head.
Can I do that? Or-
Yeah, if you physically can share your screen, that would be wonderful.
This is
because I don't think I have a plug-in over here. Unless I unplug this laptop, but I'm not attached to the internet, so. So I want to just do that. I shouldn't do that. We're trying to see if he can share his screens. Technology's already working for us. Alice, are you attached to the internet?
I am. Let me know if that's helpful at all.
I'm just thinking, this is connected to that so that we can see him on that screen.
Mm-hmm.
So either I could try and, I'm just trying to figure out how to get the PowerPoint to this laptop.
I'm just trying to get to the Dropbox, the PowerPoint.
Wait,
Could you send it to me? I could, it's, hold on.
She wants to, no, she wants to share her
Could you,
screen.
Right,
Yeah.
but you got whoever's in charge. Oh, you.
It's on the
Oh,
Dropbox,
oh,
so
okay.
anybody wants to read through.
Yeah.
It's under loans slash.
I'm going to invite you to this Zoom meeting, since you're already attached to the internet.
Great.
And then you can share your screen.
Perfect. You figured it out.
Let's see if I can find you. What's your email?
MGlass.
Okay, that, I should have known that.
okay, right.
Choose mine, or copy.
Good.
Copy link. Whose email, whose laptop is this?
Julie's,
Okay,
the town admin.
okay. Don't look. How you doing there? Thank you.
I'm so grateful to have you both here, you know, no, but for so many
We'll
reasons.
see.
Oh, yeah.
We're very lucky as a committee.
Wow, I don't have an account. Oh no, why are you doing this to me?
I told you the story of ACES. There were three 70-some-year-olds sitting in a coffee shop with a high school junior. And he was trying to tell us how to use Google Docs.
Okay.
My children show me and yell at me.
She doesn't seem to have her, there's no
Right. I've
there's no
got-
account actually set up on this computer. Which is not actually helpful, so.
Hey Robin, did you get
I've got-
a Zoom?
I'm into it now.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point too. He must have gotten an email.
If you got an email, then
He can share it.
So, can I do a sharing on what I've got then?
Yes, if you have the PowerPoint up, you can hit the green button at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
Wait a minute, I've got that. Which one's what's the PowerPoint's, JPG?
Hey, Robin, really quickly, before you start looking for that, did you receive this Zoom link as an email? Did Julie email you this Zoom?
Yes.
Could you forward that to Madison? Just the whole email? That might be the easiest way of doing it.
I could have done that too. Oh, I'm not.
Yes, I did, I'll do that right now.
That would be wonderful, thank you.
No.
Let's see, in the meantime, if I can find the internet.
I wish I could tell you how I got onto the internet, but I don't
I
remember.
don't know. I mean, I see Newbury COA guest is open, but most of them are not open.
Town hall visitor is what I'm on.
That does not even come up for me. Oh no, yes it does, but it's locked.
Mm.
It requires a password.
Oh,
Interesting. Oh yeah, there's no internet on the Newbury COA one.
Right. I received it as a link, Zoom link.
Yes, so if you copy that link, even like for instance right clicking on it.
You'll.
Or just forward.
Or just forward
Forward
whole
the email.
Well, that's-
Forward the
that's what
email,
I-
Matt.
Yeah.
It's not as an email. Oh, hang on, I'll.
It's not as neat.
Okay, right.
Maybe it was a calendar invite or something.
And you have to copy it. Hopefully it pastes right. Just forward it.
I mean, the alternative would literally be to new Zoom link, but
Okay, I'm sending it to you
That's
both.
fantastic, thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Right, should be in there.
should is the key word.
See it.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna stay over here and see if I play it.
Okay, back to that.
There's a meeting basket.
Have you got it?
She did receive it, yes.
Yes. There she is. Yay.
There we go. Marvelous. Good, on mute, that's smart. Okay, now
Right.
you can share your screen and we shall all be able to see it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Great idea, and thank you for persevering
Technology.
through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bend it to our will.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
There
that's
are
great.
5 ways to do anything.
That's great.
If you're creative enough.
Okay. If you guys can see that, that's totally fine.
Yes.
Cool. I'm blind, but I have it right in front of me, so. Okay, so this is is this the red and blue? Yeah.
Nope.
No.
There we go.
There we go. So this is our the blue is our existing designations. The red is our buffer zone. And I did include all the way up to that northern burial ground just to see if we wanted contiguous.
good.
It sounds like we're
Yeah.
not, but that's totally
Right.
fine.
Good.
So I have them labeled here, and I labeled them in accordance with the on the inventory sheet, that Excel sheet that Madison set up before the last time, with all of the addresses and the years of built of any of those buildings, and then who owns them. And so that is all updated on the Dropbox Excel sheet as of this afternoon. And so that's what we'll go through 1 through 34 here. And I just have a quick photo of each of these properties as well as the address that we can kind of look at and say yes or no. And just a quick why to make sure that we have our boundary in stone. or
Wonderful.
In soft stone. So the first property, if you want to next slide, please, is
Well, that's the Knight property, number 1, huh? Yeah.
yeah, so this is the north bank of the river.
That's interesting.
Yes, because
We hadn't thought about that.
but it buffers it surrounds Ferry House and I don't know what that other the property south of the,
Well,
Greens.
not only that, but it also borders on the Kinney property, which goes back and which has 7 acres.
is that the one?
And that's not the second house, it's the third house up.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's the third house up, but
Okay.
it goes back 7 acres. And
Along the river?
so once you get past Rob's house, the Kinney, the property and the Knight property, so the waterfront, run parallel to each other for, 500 feet at least.
okay, so the one, it's probably just north of this one.
It's
Yes.
just north
Yeah.
of one,
Yes.
but there is another house on High Road in
Yes.
between there.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
okay.
And kind of a strange, that the Knight property, yes.
There's a little driveway
Yeah,
to
there's
access.
Yeah,
Well, I was gonna say, there's also, and this property itself has, is this
Yeah.
the Knight property?
The
So
Knight
the
property's
Knight
on the
property-
waterfront, it has a little
This is
little
Knight.
tail
The
that
little
runs
Yes,
down.
skinny-
that goes on in between
Right.
the
Yes.
Kinney property and Ferry House,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has.
Um,
You
no.
could not drive a regular car across that,
So
because
it
it
is
goes across the
282
gutter.
High Road. which
Yes,
is-
282.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is 15 acres, owner Knight, Paul
Yeah.
Hale.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, where is that north landing on that you guys were talking about, on the north side of the river?
The north side of the river, it's on the east side,
Okay.
the right-hand
Okay.
side
So
of the
east.
bridge.
We'll get there then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's houses on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are, okay. So
Used
yeah,
to be a
this
gas
is,
station there.
is there, I had, let's see, this is number
Of course.
1. There's no building on this property as
No.
far as we can tell, so.
But there is a wreck of a building.
Okay.
There used to
There's
be
a
one up
ruin.
there, it burned down.
Oh.
And so that could potentially be redeveloped at
Yeah.
some point. I'm not sure how they would get their access across it's called the West Gutter. There's a drainage basin
Okay.
that comes down off of Old Town Hill, and you can't really drive across that. You'd have to put a bridge in, or have a four-wheel drive, Jeep or something.
So what are you talking about?
I'm talking about,
The Knight property?
yeah, see,
Okay.
this is, the Knight property goes up onto the landing, onto the bluff
Ah,
next to, it runs
Next to it.
parallel
Ah.
to Kenny, Steve's property
Yeah,
along
yeah.
there.
yeah.
And there was a house there, it was burned
I
down.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it was burned down.
Oh,
And actually, somebody went through it and found some old glass slides
oh,
that I've got, and then I'm gonna have those scanned.
Cool.
But you could put something back up there, it's just that there's really no good way to
yeah.
drive
Well,
there. There's a gutter that runs right along the stone wall here, all the way down. It's a drainage base, it's a drainage area. There's a west gutter, and behind my house, there's an east gutter,
Okay.
okay? And they're in the 1635 map.
Oh.
That's how long that's been around. And you can, near the bottom here, it's all swampy, it's spread out. It
Yeah,
probably
it
used to
is,
be
yeah.
a narrow creek, but
Right.
now it's all spread out.
Mhm.
And with a
Marshy,
Jeep,
it's
you
tidal
could get
plains.
across it. But
Yeah.
getting materials back up here, for building the house would be difficult too. But it's buildable up there. You could build
And
something up there,
It does quite envelop to our
yeah.
one of our properties that is in.
I think we should
area.
include that.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah,
Okay.
good point.
All right.
Yeah.
Include 282. You know, I'm
And-
this on the Excel sheet.
Steve and Lisa will appreciate that. So that there's not a mansion out here next to their farmland.
Okay. The next slide then is for Florence Bushy Lane.
For what?
Florence Bushy Lane.
Where's that?
It is no longer actually a lane, by what I can tell.
So it's this.
Yeah, there used to be on that little. There's a roundabout, a lane, and a
Oh,
Yeah, it's
in
no-
front of the Seton Tavern, that dirt road where you have the porta potty.
No, it's
No.
not.
No.
Property.
No.
So see,
Wait.
if you can see
See, I
that,
think it's
the
in
map.
between the numbers
Yeah.
It's
2
number
and
2.
3.
Oh.
It is number 2.
Oh,
So
that's,
Florence Bushy Lane is that.
that,
I don't think
that's,
it's
that's
there.
part of the Garrison home.
Yeah,
now.
that's,
They,
yeah.
they have access
Yeah,
to
the
the
garage.
water,
Yeah.
all the way down there.
Yeah, the garish,
The
right,
Garish, I'm sorry.
Garish, yeah.
Garish.
yeah,
That's,
It is,
senior's
hold on,
property, yeah.
It's
yes.
That's Garish.
Florence Bushy is. It's owned by Barry Koshia. Trustee.
What? The lane?
No, the property. No, it's this one.
Which-
Over to the left.
That one.
That one.
What number?
Let's see.
What?
On your map, what number are we talking
Number
about?
2.
Oh, 2, sorry.
Oh,
2.
no, in New York.
That belongs, we're told, belongs to the Garishes.
That belongs to
Yeah.
Barry Koshia, trustee. He owns 2 properties, number 2 and number 3, according to the assessor's maps. It's-
Because,
No.
These are not builded lots, there's nothing on them, but because they found another properties, just wanted to talk about them.
Interesting.
I wish I brought those printouts. I could go buy.
No,
I think you need to look into that.
no,
There used to be a lane there.
Yes, it's
They-
not.
Yeah,
really-
it's not a
yeah.
lane anymore, there are 3 houses that are the
Something's wrong.
Garishes,
What are you?
2 and 3 belong to Garish.
yeah.
So this is what comes up on the assessor's GIS map.
As
Uh,
2023?
I think that's all been superseded because the Garishes bought all 13 lots
Yeah.
as a one
Yeah.
package.
Yeah,
When?
So it may have gone to
But
somebody else,
put
but
them into 3 lots.
I don't think we have any reason to include this. This
No.
would be
No.
outside.
it's
the
far
boundaries.
afield, yeah,
It's- yeah.
very far
Yeah.
afield.
Yeah, it's the other side of the Kinney property,
Yes.
which is number whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a big chunk that
Actually,
is part of the lower, part of the green belt, which is, that's this,
About 4.5
right?
acres, yeah.
That's this,
Yep, that's
right,
it, that's,
That one,
Our-
that one. That's the green belt property.
Correct.
yes, and that is
Yes.
number 4. That is actually what we're talking
yeah,
about
that's,
next.
and actually the property lines look correct there too. because I remember laying this one out.
Let me go back to, so we're saying no to 2 and 3,
That's correct.
okay?
Wait.
And then number 4 does not have an address, but it is owned by Essex Greenbelt.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, number 4 is, yeah, Essex.
yeah, definitely.
So I would be happy to draft a letter to both Greenbelt and trustees
Okay.
on behalf of the committee. Just letting, explaining our mission, our purpose, what we want to do. And, I think that it's good form.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and draft a letter.
We'll have to give them, somehow you'll have to tell them which ones we're considering, though, for the trustees.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I think you'll have to
Greenbelt
get-
knows what they've got, because they
Yeah.
mow it every year.
You
Okay.
have to enclose a map so that you can reference it. I mean, well, if you draft it, shoot it round to us for us all to have a look at, because I think you're going to have to enclose in the letter a map, a copy of this, so that we know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
So we-
And also though it
so
doesn't,
we have different reference point numbers for their property.
well, it should have the GPS or GIS locations. I know it does on the
Right.
assessor's map, it doesn't have an address, right, but it will have the long lab.
Right. Right, so
That
that
would be
everyone's.
One comment here, before we send any maps out with lines on them,
Yeah,
they better be final lines,
It would
or
be-
what we're willing to back up.
It would be a map with, like one of these maps with just their
Just
property
theirs, no
surrounded.
problem.
No, nothing
problem.
else on it.
Yeah, no problem.
So what I'll do is, for next meeting, I will draft the letters.
Those letters, all right.
Yeah.
And we can discuss it,
And then
you
and then
know.
we could have a map that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'll put it in the Dropbox.
actually, we could have a draft map at that point too, because the Greenbelt one is easy, and we'll figure out today maybe which trustees' properties we're talking about. Yeah.
Great, okay.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Number 5 is 13 Newman Road. It's
Yes.
a 2012
Garage.
property. It is a garage, yep.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Wait a minute,
That's just behind
What-
Seddon Tavern. It's that,
Just behind Seven.
what number is Seddon
Seddon
Tavern?
Tavern is in blue. It does not have a number.
Wait a
But
minute.
on the map, we're
Okay.
looking at number 5.
Okay, yeah, that's
It's
here.
that very, very modern building that's just behind Seddon.
Yeah, the one
It's-
that
That's what
is
the-
cheek to jowl with, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was what exists in that property is one of the reasons why the Lower Green is a endangered
Correct,
district.
that's
Is
correct.
that the development of that property in
Correct.
particular.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that inclusion in this
No.
local historic district will
No,
bring anything positive because it couldn't get any worse
no, no.
historically.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Number 6
All right.
is 10 Newman Road. This is trustees.
Yes,
Which one is it?
Number 6 is
It's
big,
the-
it's the,
walkway.
Oh, it's huge, yes,
Yes.
okay, I see, okay.
Zigzag walkway up the hill.
yes.
Well, top of Old Town.
Is that what that is? It's a walkway. Yeah. Oh, I've clicked on it, I just didn't even pay attention.
So do we, where the land is already protected, do we have to include it, or can we just mention it, or, I mean, I don't think that we need to include it, because it is already protected.
Unless Greenbelt decides to sell it one
Unless
day,
trustees.
or the trustees.
I agree, and also because this parcel particularly has that indigenous settlement in it,
Yes.
I think to the story of the Lower Green, it
Yes.
would be particularly important.
Yes,
I would.
And I
yeah,
don't
you're
think
right,
trustees might object very hard, because
You're
they're
right.
not going to develop it
Yeah.
themselves anyway.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right, yeah, good.
Okay,
And
so yes.
therefore, the same would go with number 7.
Yes, number 7 is also owned by the trustees, it's 8 Newman Road,
Right.
and, yeah, it's the wee one.
Say yes to that one too.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, number 8 is 256 High Road. There's nothing built on it. It's owned by
there is-
Well,
Seamus.
that's next to the little new White House.
Yeah.
No, sorry, you're right. There is, that's.
There's nothing taxable on it.
It's this side of Torrey, so I'd say yes.
no,
What?
no,
No,
we're
it's-
still on the other side of the road.
It's
No,
the
but
left
it's-
side of High Road. It is just about equal to
Yeah,
Tory Lane. It's
right.
just south of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, south of it.
So I thought that was owned by the Siemens.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is,
It is,
okay,
yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
Yeah, it is owned by.
Saraceno's.
Okay,
I'd say yes to A.
yes,
I would agree because of
Yes.
its potential, its buildable potential.
yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially
It's
up
the-
in the north. All right. Okay, 8, yes, on 8.
Yes.
And then we're just gonna keep going up the high road right here, so
the
we'll very
left side.
quickly go to no's probably, because a lot of
Correct.
these are very modern, but let's just go through them for the sake of it, very
Correct.
quickly.
Yes.
Number 9 is 254 on High Road, it's a 2017 house owned by James Kraus.
Yes.
I do have photos of a couple of these if anyone
And
wants
that's the
to
one
see
that
them,
was
but
built about 4 years ago.
2017,
No, that's
so
James.
yeah,
yeah.
4 or 5 years ago now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'd
there's-
say no.
No.
yeah, that's, okay.
No, I would say no as well. Yep.
Okay. Number 10, let's see, is 252 High Road. It was built 1950. It's owned by
Yeah.
John Matthews.
Yep.
No,
No.
No.
Okay. The next one is a 1987. It's Blackwood. If anyone knows these last names, that's why I'm
no,
saying them for you locals.
No.
Okay. Robert Noonan, trustee, owns the 1939 house at 248 High Road.
no,
Trustees owned it?
No,
No.
Robert Noonan. He's
Oh,
a
I'm
trustee.
sorry. It's a
It's
trustee.
owned by a trust.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And then 246 is 1935 house owned by Bruce I. Ilsley.
No,
no,
Okay.
no, it's the Ilsley family.
Yeah,
No.
there's a couple of
Yeah.
a couple
They're,
of names here.
they're
Hale,
historically
too.
on the other side of the road.
yes,
Yeah. And then 240 High Road is a 1900 building owned by
That's,
Joseph and Nancy
14.
Story.
Story, yeah.
Okay, the only reason that I would consider it is because it doesn't have anything on it yet.
Well,
But,
it
but
it
do we,
does.
but do
It
we
does.
care?
It
It
Well,
does, it has a house and it has
for
that.
the house is,
well,
It's a 1900.
the house is derelict.
It's taxable though.
Yeah.
It is taxed.
Yeah. But,
And
but
it
I-
has that farm stand thing next
Yeah.
to it.
14. Yeah, pretty darn good.
But it,
It's also
but,
big.
so my comment
It's
there would
big
be,
and
is
long.
that too far up the road to worry about what might be developed there?
Well, here's the question, isn't that the one that, that one surrounds
Correct.
the burial ground? So it could be
Yeah.
argued that to protect the setting of that burial ground, which will be in the district, it could be an important
Good thought.
buffer zone, but I don't, I will.
That's
That's
a
a very
good
good
thought.
point, yeah, because inevitably they're waiting for it to fall down before
Yeah, that's a pretty sad
they're
little
going to
thing.
develop it eventually when it passes.
I wanna say this
It would
delicately,
affect
but
the,
you
uh,
do have to consider
This would affect the burying ground, which
who the
is
owner is
Yes,
uh,
and
very historic.
whether.
Well, the other thing about it,
very sticky,
the other thing about 14 is it's,
no,
It's good to know.
the thing about 14 is it's more than one building site potentially.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely
10 acres.
subdividable.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's-
10
You
acres,
could,
yeah.
you could turn that into a bunch of, it says, do we want to try and protect that or not?
However, if one does get the burying ground designated within it, and I don't know whether the local council has some sort of right of way to reach it
They do,
from
right?
the roadway. There must be some easement that allows access.
there is an easement
I
for
was gonna say,
that, for the
that's fairly
for the-
easy to,
burial ground.
yeah,
right,
there's,
yeah.
that will be written into the deed of that property, so that's something we can look up on the registry fairly easily and make sure, but I would be very surprised if there wasn't one.
Right.
I would say no to 14, but yes to the burial ground within it.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Because I think that 14 would be, there would be a lot of pushback there.
Here's another thought too. What about the burial ground plus a buffer zone? So that somebody couldn't put their house 20 feet away from the tombstones.
Does the zoning in Newbury already prohibit that? Because the building has to be a certain distance from any property boundary.
Oh,
The issue for that would be that the house that's currently there is grandfathered because it's
good
cheap
point.
to jowl.
But any new build, if that house were to fall down, any new build would have to,
I would bet money that they would save a foundation to get around that.
and where is that house? Because I'm assuming it's not the one that's right on High Road, the.
It's
It
right on
is.
High Road.
It
Oh,
is.
and that, but that, it's this guy? And that abuts the burial ground?
cheek to jowl.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't think we can say anything about that anyway. If it's in there.
Correct.
What I'm saying is a buffer zone would not prohibit any new development there anyway.
Correct.
So if we wanted to include a buffer zone, which would include that house plot, or it would.
Yeah, but we're
I mean,
not
that's-
gonna
No.
preclude development, we want rules for the development.
Yeah, it's
So instead of do we want an appropriately looking building next to the cemetery? That's, and not a super
Yeah.
modern,
yeah.
I don't know, that's,
I think that we will get a lot of
I
pushback
know,
from that. I
Yeah,
think that right now, we should just look at the burial ground
by
itself.
itself.
Well, can I ask
And-
about the pushback? It's, and I don't know the politics of the town, and it's not required that every homeowner be on board for this.
Right.
Is it something that they would be a tipping point in the town to
Possibly,
make no one else on board with this?
Very cool.
possibly.
I
Connected.
think, I know the person who is a trustee of the burying ground. I think we'll find out a bit more about whether he knows, whether there are any easements or regulations pertaining to building anything surrounding it.
So it
There
sounds
may be
like,
stuff already grandfathered in we don't know about.
Sounds
Again,
like we need to
my
do some
comment
more
would be there, the
research.
buffer zone wouldn't say you can't develop it. The
Yeah.
buffer zone would say you've got to put something back like it's there. In
I'm
other
not
words,
sure we can do a
yeah,
buffer
they
zone.
could put a new house on that
I
foundation.
think we can, because we don't have to include entire parcels. It's recommended,
Yeah.
but we don't have to, so if we just say, 150 feet out from this property
From the
boundary
from the
is the historic
cemetery's
district
property.
property boundary, I think that would be
I
fine.
think so too.
Yeah, I think we tabled this specific one and do a bit more research.
Yeah.
Robin, you can,
I
if you
agree.
say you know one of the trustees, I can do a bit of digging in the registry, we can kind of get a feel for, would this be worth it and realistic?
I agree.
Yeah,
I was like cringing.
right, yeah.
Sorry. You're not working anymore.
So,
Okay.
I wouldn't be ready to vote on that one anyway.
No,
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're moving. Oh no, we have one more really quickly. That little corner lot just up north of that. Just because I felt bad leaving that.
So what's on the other side of the graveyard?
oh,
North?
that little corner lot is already built up.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not
it's our-
taxed.
It has a little,
Builders.
like a barn, it's a little business, it's called,
Okay.
North,
What's the thing they've been working on?
yeah, it's the barn.
Yeah,
There's a small little barn there,
yeah.
Is
and
that
it's a
fairly new?
construction, brand new.
I was gonna say because it's
Yeah.
on
Brand
the
new.
satellite, but it's not on Street View.
Brand
Brand
new,
new,
except it's taken
Yeah,
2 years to
within,
build it.
yeah, within a year it's gone up.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I doubt.
Yeah, that's not, no,
Okay.
it's not historic at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a no on 15.
Okay, so,
All right. Now we're gonna hop across High Road.
well,
and go
wait a
down
minute,
this-
what's north of the graveyard?
That
That.
beautiful,
Oh, I've got pictures of that in there.
Yeah.
Also, there's
Pictures
a
of
yeah,
that
there's a
in there,
road
too,
that's
in my thing.
Yeah,
that's an
Emerald.
old town.
It's a cottage, it's something other cottage, it's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
got a name. It's got a name, it's a cottage.
Yeah, that's a
There's
beautiful
Old Town
home.
Hill, I think is there's a road right across. there,
Yes,
so I didn't
Emery,
think it's
yeah.
Emery.
And I think they've already done all the subdividing they're gonna do there. And it's all north, so they subdivided the land to the north of that, sold it off, and there's 3 houses in there.
Okay.
So it's probably safe, I don't know whether you wanna.
I don't think there's any
I don't think
reason
so.
to.
Yeah.
I don't think that would
No,
That's even within a
affect
buffer
the
zone of our
character.
Yeah.
burial ground, it's too far out, so I think
Yeah.
yeah,
make it be able to make a difference.
yeah.
All right, so let's start going down the other side. Number 16 is 1 Tory Lane. It's a 1960 house, owned by William Joy.
Which one is
So that's,
that? Is that the barn?
no, it's the house that has like a whaler in the yard.
It's a
It's,
big boat in the yard.
yeah, there's, it's like a ranch house. It's right on the corner, you know where Tory Lane is,
Yeah,
right?
and so it's on the
So-
north side of Torrey?
It's on the
There-
north
there's
side of
numbers
Tory,
there.
Okay,
yeah.
there was a rock in there we went and took a
Yes,
picture of.
yes.
Okay,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
never mind, they.
so the house isn't historic, but
No,
there's a
it's not
marker
at all.
there.
Yeah, but there's a marker. So, there is, yeah,
Okay, so not that one.
not that one, not that one, not that one.
Sorry.
So
there's
does the marker need any
more.
protection?
I think so,
I do too.
yeah.
This one.
So that's the property.
Yeah.
And right next to that is that's on the corner of North Lane, the north corner of Tory Lane.
Right.
Northeast.
And then the plumber marker is, I don't know if it's
Is
on
that in the
that
next lot?
property.
Is it, I thought it was on the next property.
North, the next property north.
Yeah. You took a picture of it the other day. Is it on your phone?
It's,
So the next property north is not, I have not looked at that property, I have no idea what that is.
That's the barn.
Is,
right?
alright.
I can't actually tell where,
Oh,
yeah.
because I thought that
It's
was
a
on the
really,
barn property.
really long, skinny parcel, the next one north. The next two north are actually
Oh,
adjacent, really skinny, really deep parcels on High Road.
Let me just bring this up real quick.
So we're here on Tory Lane, the marker is like right there.
yeah, okay,
it's on
it's on that piece of property, okay.
Yeah. What is this line?
Don't know.
What is the dotted line that I'm looking at on this particular one? See the dotted line?
Yeah,
Is that a streetcar?
No, it could be the
Streetcar.
old trolley, it could be the Bay Circuit.
It's not the trolley, it's on the wrong side of the road.
No, it wouldn't be the Bay Circuit Trail because Bay Circuit Trail actually goes down this way.
Okay.
Remember we walked down where the
So that
cemetery was?
trustee's property has the
Yeah.
Bay Circuit on it, okay.
I bet this is the old trolley,
But it's the wrong side of the road.
is it?
It was on the east side of the road. right?
Oh, wait, let's look at the legend. Major road parcels, local road, interstate. Well, it's a secret thing. It has to be a
Oh, look.
path because, yeah,
Oh, maybe it's an old path, Indian Trail or.
I don't know. But there is a marker right on, I don't know if it's on the corner of One Tory Lane, you know, on the northern corner, or if it's the marker, or if it's on this
here.
one.
She just has a picture of it on her
Right
phone.
right off the Matthews place. So if you go across, you walk across the road from Matthews, and it's right there.
So I think we need to
There it is,
determine
yeah.
Well,
There it is, yeah.
Yeah,
which property it's on.
Yeah, that would be.
I think
let's do that.
it's on this long skinny one.
The long skinny one above 16.
I
Yeah.
think it's on
I seem to
William
remember, I
Joyce.
seem to remember the
But you
fence
think it's
there.
on 16. William Joy is 16.
I think, yeah.
Sorry, let
All
me
right.
go back.
Well,
We're gonna table that one. But here's a question about that though. Would we want to include the entire property that marker is on?
No,
no,
no.
but
Yeah,
do we want,
okay.
but do
So that's-
we
it's a
want to
little bit beside
include
the
the
point.
marker?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
You
we
can-
I think we just include the marker. You can do that, as it's,
Is that like a buffer zone?
Maybe like 10 feet in every direction. Like how does that? Yeah. How exactly
I
does
don't
that
know.
work?
We could talk to the property owner if they have no objection.
Because we're including High Road as part of this, right? It's in our
Yes.
zone, so it could just be. It looks like it's right along the road,
It is.
It is.
and so it
It's
could be,
15
Right,
to 20 feet
15
in.
to 20
Right.
feet outside of High Road would be our buffer zone, if you
Right.
will. And so it could just be included by proxy that way.
Okay, good.
Ooh,
Sounds
that's a
good,
thought.
yeah.
And it's a
Let's-
scenic byway.
Figure out exactly where that
That's
is,
right.
which
Yeah.
property it's on, and then what do we think about 16 on its own merits then?
But what?
16
No.
on its own merits is
Correct.
no.
Okay,
No.
that's,
No.
there we go. So where is the marker?
It's right on the northern
Oh, no,
corner.
sorry, I'm
Yeah.
Just for notes.
We'll do a little bit more research.
Okay.
It's here,
yes,
it's
we'll
either,
find out
it's
which one.
it's either
And
here.
how far
or here.
off High.
It's right there.
On R 27064C.
I don't think I took a picture of
Okay, so 16 is a no.
Just about that. Anyway.
Okay, number 17 is 3 Tory Lane,
No.
and yeah, okay, Street View doesn't go down
No.
here, so it's 1962.
No,
Cool.
but the property on the corner of Torrey, on the southern corner of Torrey and High Road, that's a lovely home.
That's one of the blue ones
Yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
have a number, it's already
yeah,
in our district.
it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a number.
Right.
Correct, because it's already in our district.
Right.
So okay, so cool. So 18 abuts that property.
No,
Cool. That's a 1955. So
No.
no.
no for 19.
And 19 is 1964.
No.
Number 20 is owned by trustees. It is no development.
That's where, yeah, that's where we went.
Abuts the Evergreen Cemetery, which is
Yes.
actually kind of interesting. I believe it's also, I haven't walked
Behind
out there, but I think
cemetery.
it's Salt Marsh, which is.
Yeah.
Not buildable. Right.
It's behind the cemetery. I think you can walk through part of it to get down to the salt marshes.
Is there okay.
If you go through the cemetery.
So number 21 is the cemetery,
Yes.
and so I know that was one that we wanted
Just
to
found
include.
it. Police said they could.
Right? Is number 20 something that relates to that in any way, or, because it's, otherwise it's a little bit far out there to be a very logical,
Number 20, no,
Doesn't 20 border on the cemetery?
yeah, number 21 is the cemetery,
but it's already protected.
but and is there any other kind of reason why we would include it, knowing that we're not including 16 through 7, or 16
And
through
who
19?
owns 20?
Trustees.
Yeah.
So,
I think
because I could see why you'd want to protect the cemetery from a housing development.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's salt marshes, so it's not really developable.
So it's not even
anyway.
buildable?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, then maybe
So I
there's
think,
no,
I think it's fine as it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it doesn't need it to be included.
I'm
I
thinking,
don't think so.
Long.
I don't know.
Okay.
If it's the trustees,
If it's
and
trustees.
and they're amenable,
But what would the
Well,
argument be
we-
to
we
include it?
incorporate
Is there
in
any
the letter
historical-
we're gonna write to them, right?
No,
We can add that to the letter we're going to write to them about Old Town Hill, which is down in that other property.
Well, my question, Robin, is what's the argument for inclusion of that property? Is there any historic influence other than it's right next to the cemetery?
that's the only
Okay.
reason I would say that.
Okay.
Other than that, there is a right of way to walk through, as you can see by the dotted line. But they're not allowed to build on either side anyway, because it's you're into marshland. So-
Right, so it seems like it's already
There
protected
isn't a compelling
Yes.
reason.
twice.
so I would say no,
I
I
would
would
say no
vote
as
for
well.
I'd say
no.
no.
It's,
Right, we ignore it.
yeah, I think it's doing well on its own, and it's not going to add anything to the, keep calling it a conservation area, don't I?
Well,
Sorry about that.
It
A local
is.
historic district,
Oh, yes.
it's the British term. But otherwise, if you kind of visualize what the map would look like, if number 20 was in blue, it's kind of out there all on its own.
Yeah,
And if there's not a very good reason why we
and it's
include
already
that,
protected,
and
yeah.
it's already protected
Trustees.
twofold.
21's gonna be,
21,
Blue.
now we would include, I think.
well,
yeah.
then 20 wouldn't be sitting out like that, so.
Well, I mean, yes, but 21 has a very good reason.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
an issue.
And remember, we can always, there is a way to expand a local historic district.
That's true.
If we did see that there was something in danger that was abutting it at some point in the future, yeah, it's a possibility, but I think right now there isn't a compelling reason to protect it if it's already protected.
And cannot be
Right.
developed.
Okay, 21?
Yes, that's the
Yes.
cemetery.
Yep. 22 and 23.
Are both owned by sons and daughters of the first settlers.
Ah, okay,
Ah.
so that's perfect.
They're not builded.
No,
It's 5 and 3 Cottage Road.
You don't want to include them?
Those are our next two that we're debating. We don't know. They're right next to, isn't there a house right?
Yes, the Jackson Willett,
Yeah.
Jackman,
Which
Jackman
is
Willett.
in our property, right? That's
Yes.
the blue parcel next door, which is also owned by
Which
them.
is also owned by them.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
own all three.
yeah.
So
So
20
it
20
might-
becomes even less isolated. Sorry.
So it might make sense.
I'm not gonna
then.
change that opinion, sorry, you can outvote me.
Oh, you know what? Sons and daughters also need to be,
Yes, you're
Yes.
right.
I was about to say, we need to reach out to them as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So we'll add that in.
And is that something, Julie?
I'll do
you
that.
feel- okay.
Yep, I'll do that.
Right.
Okay,
I'll
so.
I'll bring the draft to the next meeting.
That sounds
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So those two are buildable lots.
Yeah.
They are sandwiched by 3 properties in our district already, north, south, and west, north, east, and west. I'm in favor of including them.
I am too.
Which one?
Me too.
22.
23 and 22.
Oh, I thought you voted on that, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm yes for that.
yes.
Yes, very good.
All right.
Number 24 is it's the barn, 2 Cottage Road.
Yeah.
And the
It's-
little
there's-
house now.
Is there? Because
Yeah, there's a
that
house
must be
now.
brand new because
Yeah, it
it's,
is brand new,
is.
within,
Really?
within a few months.
That's Mr. Russell, who has.
Mr. Berry.
Christina Horn.
Mr. Berry,
It's owned by
Right,
Christina Horn.
yes, sorry, Russ. Yeah, he's,
no.
Well, it was
She-
last year.
It was last year.
he got back to me, and, is showing interest. Now, as regards the barn, or segregating the barn away from the other property, I don't know whether that's possible or not at this stage. I'd rather like to find out what his view is.
It's got the old bushy barn and its borders on the green.
It's,
Right.
it's,
Sounds pretty defined.
it's, the Barton barn. It's not, was it bushy?
Compelling-
No, Barton, did I say bushy?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Barton I meant. And, well, actually,
So
no, I don't
even,
think the bushy ever owned it.
no.
so
I
even though
meant-
it
I meant
has a
Barton, yeah.
new house on it, it does have historic character.
It
has
does.
a historic barn, and like Lon says,
Huge.
it does overlook the lower
Huge.
green.
You can
Huge.
see
So I
it
think
standing
we
on
should
the green.
include that one.
Yes,
And you can see it driving down the road.
yes.
Okay, so yes
Yeah.
on 24.
Yeah.
This is-
Yes.
I don't enjoy saying this.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, no.
Right.
Agreed.
Okay, cool.
They're all brand new.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Or no build, actually. 26 doesn't have anything on it, unless it was in the last year. Same with
Yes,
28.
it does.
Yeah,
Yep,
they're-
they all
they're
do,
built on.
they
Okay.
all do, yeah,
Okay, and that was that include 29, right?
yes.
Okay. Number 30.
The- No,
No.
no.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, 31, 32.
Yep, those are all Cottage Road.
No,
Okay.
Right.
Number 33 is it's that large property. It doesn't have anything built on it right now. It's owned by
And that's
Eric
Russ,
Norgard.
Eric's.
yeah,
Yes.
Eric owned that.
Yeah, it's woodland, I think.
It is
right now.
woodland.
So
what-
I would say it's woodland.
It's
Um,
woodland and it's unbuildable right now because it doesn't have frontage on a real road.
not even that little bit on
No,
Cottage.
not enough frontage on Cottage.
Gotcha.
It's shy.
So he would have to get an easement from a neighbor.
That
Or
wouldn't
purchase-
do any good.
Purchase a section.
Yeah. That
I don't
wouldn't-
think it would relate to the.
No, I don't think it's,
Okay.
I don't think
Okay.
it's worth
Cool.
Probably
pursuing.
not worth, yeah.
And then the
probably not
last
worth
one
doing it.
is just the back abut of it's one
And
riverfront.
34, yes, I'd say.
Really?
34, yeah?
That's the pond, right?
No.
No,
No.
34 is that, it's a little house, actually, and you can see it on Street View. There's a photo of it.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Oh,
I don't know.
Sorry.
34, yeah, it's slightly set back.
Is that the last house on the
It's a
waterfront road up there?
1957
Oh, I'm
house.
sorry, okay, that's not what I thought it was.
yeah, it's a wee house.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't,
Last
that's
slide.
not what I thought it was.
no,
Yeah.
I would say
No,
no.
that's.
I would say no.
The pond, yes.
Interesting. I don't think your signs
The pond, and then if you,
I had an order.
if you go all the way down Cottage Road, there's a memorial, or a stone commemorating
The landing
the
spot.
landing spot,
Yeah.
which,
All
so
the way
it's
down.
all the way down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be sort of a spot designation. But I don't really think that it's in danger of,
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
being developed, so it's.
all the way
It's,
down the
it's
right
the actual
hand
land,
corner?
the actual
Yeah.
landing
Like the
place.
Yeah.
total edge of
Yes,
Cottage.
right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's stone, well,
Yeah.
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 Stone
not
with some,
plastic, yeah,
It's
stone.
technically, it's supposed to be
Right.
the first landing spot of the settlers,
Okay.
which if we're looking.
The
at
colonists.
The colonists, thank you. If we're looking at the Lower Green, that is an essential part of that history, so.
Okay, so that would be good to include as another
Yes, as a spot,
non-contiguous?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And do we know what property that's on or anything?
It would be on,
I think it's on the road, so it's.
When-
It is-
when-
it is
when
on the
you go down
road.
there, park your car in front of it, a little lady will come out of the house with no shoes on and greet you.
Right.
so go down Cottage Road, whoops,
I'm sorry,
Go.
Joy, hang on, I'm
She's-
all
I'm
funky
getting
here.
sick.
Very proud of you.
So it's right here,
So on the left side, the
correct.
cottage.
Alright, hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna write that one for
She
you.
comes out and says hello to you every time.
Okay,
Let me.
or left side of Cottage Road?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, hang on one second.
It's probably on council property. Anyway.
It's it would be on the east side along the river, on the east side of Cottage up
Oh,
there.
she just said the west side, the left side of Cottage Road.
So,
Is the
okay,
west side.
Hang on one
if
second.
I'm going down Cottage Road and I'm all the way at the end, it's on the left.
Right,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the east
That's-
side.
Which is the
East.
east,
Okay.
yeah.
There's your
There you go.
original
That's good.
81 Cottage Road.
Thank you.
Okay.
Spot.
And it's right on the road, so I don't believe it's part of R11030.
You don't think it's actually part of that property?
I
like
do
it's part of
not,
that public
I
way?
do not, yeah, it's on the road.
Okay,
And that's a landing, that's actually a launch, you can launch from there.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
then what's-
public launch,
okay.
and the stone is right there by the public launch.
Okay. Right.
So,
That's,
yeah.
so we run into the same issue of protecting the plumber stone. The way we're gonna
Correct.
potentially do the plumber stone is by doing a buffer zone from High Road, because High Road is part of our district. But if we wanted to include the
here it
stone,
is.
because we have to keep it by
Oh, wow,
a
that's
property boundary, we would have to include the whole property.
We
Or-
wouldn't though, we wouldn't have to include the whole property.
We would.
No,
Right on the
It's-
road.
I think it's on the right of way to the road.
It is
Okay.
on the right of way, yeah.
So if it's
But
on the
we're
right
not
of way.
protecting
Here.
cottage.
Right,
No.
and so that's,
Yeah.
I agree,
Full forward.
Madison, I think that's, we need to think about that a little bit, because it's easy when we're protecting the road, but we're not protecting Cottage Road. And so I think what I suggest we do is try and find other examples of this in other historic districts of monuments, just monuments being protected non-contiguously, and see if what their language might be in their charters, whether they have like a buffer zone, or whether it's just the monument and saying like you cannot demolish it, you cannot remove it, you cannot.
Yeah,
It's,
that's
it's,
good.
it's in the inventory of importance of spots like if you look at the, what is it, the plan, the Newbury plan.
Oh, I'm not
the
questioning
master
that.
It's listed
Oh.
on that.
No,
But how do we
How do we
do it?
protect it in the
No, no,
local
no.
historic
Right.
district is the question. So I think
Yeah,
there
that's
has
what
to
I
be
mean,
other
yeah.
examples of this in other towns of where they want to include a monument that isn't in their district.
Would you be able to research that?
Yeah.
I can ask some questions.
Why don't we talk to Jen
Yeah, we can, I'm sure we can ask back to the Historic Commission.
from the Mass
Oh,
Historical?
yeah, and I'll ask
Whether
Carissa too, she might have
in the
some
Literature
ideas.
Centre.
None come to mind, that's something I just don't know as many, but, or there might actually even be something in the the charter, or the laws, which I have been reading, Massachusetts law on setting up historic districts, there might be something in there about non-contiguous designations in terms of zones, so I will do it with that.
How did you protect the witch stone on
They actually had them deed the property over to us. The Historic Commission owns that property now.
Yeah.
And we have to cut the lawn in there. Yes, yeah, I know. The town said, we'll take it, and they said, here, and gave it to us. Anyway, but that's, yeah, I don't think we want to do that here.
No,
But it is one of the listed
no,
items of
since it's already in the
important
right of way, like
resources.
it's not very,
Right, it's not contested.
no,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
then how do we actually physically write it into the document?
Right.
What's that wording look like?
Right,
Yeah, the owners of the grandfather stone didn't want to be responsible for it, so they gave us
see.
the land.
okay,
Right,
that
that
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
I saw it,
Now
I
we're
drove by
responsible
it,
for
yeah, I drove by it the other day.
Look at that. So,
I know, that's good.
that's 1800.
Oh, it's something different.
Oh, okay.
It's the actual law,
Oh, I-
legalese.
So can we go back out to High Road and where we were, there's a property in blue that does not want to be included, and I would like to read a letter from or an email from the property owners to the board or to the commission.
Which, oh, sorry, I think she's waiting on the map.
Pardon?
Oh, I
Yeah,
do
wait
want to
for the
say,
map.
which property is this? What
We'll
address?
show you.
So it's 277 High Road.
It is Raymond Deborah Price, 1700.
There it is.
Oh, this one,
Yeah,
right.
that's, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, so I'd like to read a letter into the record from Deborah and Raymond Price, 277 High Road, Newbury. Hello, Robin. This was addressed to the chairman of our commission. Hello, Robin. Please remove our home from your local historic district plan that you have initiated. As you know, we stand alone as the only property still under significant renovation that overlooks the green. Front stoop, outer buildings, hardscapes, stone and wooden fencing, landscaping, etc. So surely after putting our hearts and soul and savings into restoring her these 2+ years, we will not now be governed by someone else. I feel strongly that if this were the case during your renovation endeavors, you would feel the same way, but your home is complete, as are all the rest. When I was invited to your home over a year ago, it was positioned to help protect the Lower Green and its schoolhouse. But we see from your meetings recently that we have not been included in. This has taken on a new life, one that we are not in favor of. We, of course, support protecting the Lower Green, but not by way of restricting any household regarding their property. So once again, please remove us from your proposed local historic district properties plan, and as a result, exclude our home from your site tour on March the 9th, 2023. We would appreciate it if you would confirm receipt of this text and honoring our request. Thank you and sincerely, Deborah and Raymond Price, 277 High Road, Newbury, Mass. I think this is an issue that we may run into for people. I think this is a question of outreach and clarifying what it means to have a local historic district and what property owners can and cannot do with their properties. So I think that this is a question of outreach because this is very unfortunate. This property is a key property in the local historic district. I totally understand where the property owners are coming from, but I think it's a question of outreach and education onto what they can and cannot do, because they have done a beautiful renovation of the home. I don't believe that they have any intention of tearing down beautiful historic buildings on their property. I think that their intention is to renovate each one. So this will, I believe this is a question of outreach, and I think that we will run into this same issue with other property owners. So do we want a discussion on this? What is your feeling on it?
I think,
Okay, yes, I've got some comments. Firstly, I completely sympathise with what they're doing, and you're absolutely right. They've read into the designation as being something that completely stops them from doing anything at all. So there's an education process here. Secondly, when we record, because they've obviously seen the it's the information that goes through the website, is just take the heat out of it a bit. Is we perhaps use the word our provisional area designation, just because nothing is yet cast in stone. We are only the study group. We're not setting the rules what people cannot do. We're just defining roughly the area. The select board and the Massachusetts Historic Commission are the ultimate sort of, when we put up our report, have the ultimate say so. And really, I think we need to, exactly as you say, we need to educate them as to the process, that we're not there to stop any work that's underway or even planned that doesn't affect the abutting facade to the green, which they haven't done. So I think there's several things. One is educating them, and indeed any others who come up with, exactly as you said, any others who come up with similar requests, we ought to get that down. But also, I'm just sort of wondering whether we perhaps say this is just the study group's provisional layout of where we're going with this.
I also want to get the idea out there that this is not something to exclude property owners. It's an inclusive effort.
There was
Ellie,
a line
did
in
you-
that,
yeah.
there was a line in that letter that said, you know, we have not been party to this discussion, and this, I mean, this is only our third actual meeting, and so I think that having that as already being viewed, as at least by part of the public, is problematic.
Yeah.
And so I think getting our mission statement and purpose and goals on the website, and also that action steps as soon as possible, I think is going to be very important, so that that is how people are finding out about this committee. And so the more information we can put online that's easily accessible on what we are actually doing and how they can be a part of it, whether that's you know, welcoming
attending
them
the
in,
meetings,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
or emailing or something like that, or having questions, concerns, giving, you know, putting an email address on there, I think is the first, very important.
Here's my concern. Here's my concern. I don't think we have anything to worry about that property with the prices.
No.
But 30 years from now, they probably won't own it.
Yes, absolutely, I agree, and that's something that we have
Yeah.
conversations with our own easement owners about, is it's not, you may be wonderful owners
Yeah.
of this property, but somewhere down the line, we want to make sure it's
Yeah.
still protected.
Read the mission statement, protected for the
In the future,
grandchildren in the
in
future.
perpetual.
Yeah.
Are we,
They're doing a
as
great job
panel
on the property.
committee, have we responded?
I responded by passing it on to Robin and confirming to the property owners that
We had
I have passed it on to Robin. The property owners also copied the select board on this email,
Okay.
which I also copied the select board when I forwarded it to the chairman of the committee.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
They're in it now, we should certainly let
Yeah.
them know that how we're handling it.
I think we're going to address also, you raised the point about communication, is they feel they've not been included in anything. Well,
Right.
we haven't really started the study group anyway, and indeed, under the Massachusetts Historic Commission, we have to send out a full survey to each homeowner. And I was just going to go back after we've had this discussion to them and just say, you know, you are being included. you were just slightly ahead of the information process, and everyone will.
We will have ample opportunity to address their concerns
Sorry.
in person.
Do you have, so you said that when you have a conversation with the people who, whose homes or, you know, where they live is under an easement protection, do you have language about why the property is protected, or, you know, what are the terms of the protection in perpetuity? You know, is there any kind of language that you have that addresses any questions that your tenants would have? Is there anything that?
Well, we haven't adopted anything yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's
Yeah.
asking
There's
about,
standard language.
Well, I'm asking
She's
about
asking about
historic
easements.
New England.
I mean,
Yeah.
certainly all of
Yeah, there's standard
all of the
language.
deeds, the restrictions do, like the legal document does carry that kind of discussion of why this property is important and why we have protected it, and then specifically what we're protecting and why. But otherwise, it's mostly in actual conversations with people or over phone calls,
Okay.
and kind of explaining to them, saying, you know, look, and new owners, mostly it's when we get not a donor, but someone who buys the house 20 years down the line, and they're like, well, I don't need these restrictions. I don't, you know, can we get rid of those kind of questions? And we explain to them, no, but here's why. We're not here to be the bad guy, right? We are here to be the resource and to work with you to get to meet your goals that are sympathetic to the property. And that's essentially what we're doing as a local historic district. And I think that's an unfortunate view that a lot of the public takes towards local historic districts at large, is that they're the bad guy, they're the guy there to tell you no. Because a lot of the times that is what they're doing, is they're saying no to egregious development requests. But that's not, for a person who loves historic buildings, which a lot of people who live in historic districts are, that's not what we're there for, right? We are there to work through the project review to how to meet your modern needs in a sympathetic manner.
Yeah.
And this is just facade work. This isn't even
Well,
interiors.
and also to protect them and their property from the neighbors on both sides.
Exactly, your home value.
Yeah, I mean,
your-
the home value being in
Of
this
course.
historic district is,
Of course.
it's good. I mean, it's not a negative.
Yes, I still think we need to answer Deb's question somehow.
Yeah,
Can you just let me mull over writing a response to it that embodies what we've all said about enhancing it, but also suggesting this isn't a limitation to what you're going to do with buildings, particularly internal or out of sight from the main green. I mean, clearly they've done the front end, so they shouldn't be worried.
We should certainly respond to the email or letter or whatever with a, we've received your request or your letter. And
they've already
we'll
gotten that.
consider it.
I did
We've already got
respond. I did respond right away. And
Oh, what did you say? I didn't
So
hear
what
that.
what I said was, so I copied, I sent it to Robin, copied
Yeah.
the selectmen, and what I said was, you know, thank you very much for your email, and I'm forwarding it to Robin,
Oh,
you know,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, that's sufficient.
But-
I think we've now
Just so-
moved on.
But I think I'm very concerned that the prices are feeling excluded, and, you know, that there could be some, you know, hostility toward this committee because they have done a marvelous job saving
Right.
that home, absolutely saving that home. So I really want them to get the feeling that, you know, they are,
outside.
you know,
Outside.
they're not outside looking in, you know, that they're part of this process, and that we're just, you know, we're finding our sea legs right now.
And I think
Yes,
it's also
I
worth
agree.
mentioning
which
that,
means I think we got to try and address some of their concerns, but without sort of doing it in a way that we are being inclusive. They will be involved in a full survey, as will all property owners in the area ultimately, because bit down the line.
What were you
Right?
saying, Maddie? I mean, Madison, excuse me. I know somebody who's a Madison who's a Maddie, excuse me.
I think it's also worth mentioning that we are responsible for putting forward what we would like to be included as review
Right.
items and exemptions, and I think local historic districts in general have gotten a bad rap because some of them are extremely strict. And I think we can make that determination as to what level of protections we want to place, and it doesn't need to go down to, the color of somebody's shed.
Yeah.
There
And
is
the language
room-
hasn't been developed yet.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
that's-
still, yeah.
And that's
That's
what I
review
want to
publicly
say
too.
to them is,
Yeah.
no restrictions have even been entered into or developed. We're here as the study group, provide suggestions as to properties included and excluded at the moment, but actually do it in a way that's very sympathetic to what they've done and not suggest that they're going to be held up in any way.
And that their input is,
Certainly.
it is absolutely
They will be.
integral, to what we're doing.
Well, also, is there a way to spin this in our response to them? Because we of course do not want to come across adversarial at any point
At
in
all.
this email, as we, not even saying, well, you're wrong about that, right? No. That's
No.
No.
not the way to start a conversation. But saying that, as you're saying, Robin, that the point at which we are in this study committee is simply an inclusion exercise, if you will, of looking at which properties have historical value and therefore should be included in this list. So being included is a good thing. It means your building is valuable.
Well,
So,
they'll also
way
have
to spin that in a
editorial
positive
input,
way.
they'll have
Yes, they'll
editorial
have
input.
input.
Well, no, certainly.
All the
Yeah,
way down
certainly,
to until we vote on it.
But they're looking at it right now as
Yeah.
being part of this list is a bad thing.
Yeah,
We need to tell them that being part of this list right now is an honor.
well, and when
Because
they
it
first moved
means that
in,
your
they
building
were
is
kind
beautiful.
of
Well,
going,
also-
"Oh."
There's
This
buildings
is-
we're not including.
But
right?
also, this is not just about the prices. This is, an example.
Yeah, right.
An example of probable, possible, but probable pushback.
Right.
I think there's-
Well, we've got two new homeowners. We've got their house and the one right next to them. I don't remember what number
Yeah,
that
it's,
was. Russ's place, I can't think of
Yeah.
his last name. But
Barry.
so there are two new homeowners and they're both still working on their property.
Yes.
So they're gonna say, well, wait a minute, this wasn't here when I bought the property. And so I don't blame them for
I think
wondering how this is gonna
we
impact
really
me.
need to put together a public piece of literature that explains what a local historic district can do for the
Yeah.
homeowners. What
Like
benefit,
a FAQ sheet almost.
FAQ, yeah, just if you have questions about this, this is how, it can be, it's protecting your community, your neighborhood, and specifically your property and what that can do for you and, your property in the future after you go.
I mean, this is, certainly, we're talking about American history. I mean, how many 16th or 17th century homes do we have in America?
They're
You know.
increasing
On
even
the
resources.
Exactly.
on the
Resource.
greens.
On
Like,
the
I mean, look at the
greens,
price of
exactly.
homes up and then the upper green.
Right,
They're 2 billion.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We don't
And it
have-
hasn't hurt them at all. They're not in a local historic district, but they're in a, I forget what the
That
title
has
is.
no restrictions on
No,
anything.
but being in it, it hasn't harmed the value of the homes any.
No, but I don't think that's going to answer these questions that these people have, because there's regulatory.
Can I suggest I write something up, because we
Yeah.
can debate
Yeah.
this, and put it all down for everyone to critique for the next meeting. Then we'll-
Okay,
which will have, it is a privilege to be in this area. This is not to constrain what you're doing internally or externally, or exactly as you said, the colour of your property and all the rest of it. Those rules will be developed over the course of the time subsequent to the study group. And exactly as you said, Ellie, the study group is merely there to start the ball rolling in terms of what is included and what is not.
Well, Robin, I do think actually that later on in this process, once it is approved by the select board, we do come up with those regulatory
Absolutely, I do agree.
So that is something that our body is,
Yeah.
so I think we just being careful saying, we will be doing that. We are nowhere near that yet, and you will be involved in the process.
You know,
Right.
But I agree, if you would draft that, that'd be
So does
wonderful.
Rob, what he's gonna
Yeah,
think
I
about
was
his
thinking
program.
about
Madison,
that.
would you
I was
be
thinking.
willing to potentially draft some sort of public literature?
I will start
Yeah.
to put together an FAQ sheet,
Beautiful.
something that just talks about what this could mean for the Lower Green and the community, and dispel some maybe
Fear.
information,
Fear,
yeah.
you know, fear, really.
And so I'll draft that and bring it to the next meeting.
Wonderful, thank
That'd be
you.
awesome. Thank
Okay, good. All right, so I will also, I'll draft the letter
You're drafting
for
letters.
Greenbelt letters. Well, I was thinking, you know, I could like, you
Copy
know,
letter, yeah, kind of
copy and
form
paste, yeah. Greenbelt trustees and sons and daughters.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll bring that to the next meeting. I'll put it in the Dropbox, and then we will all have a copy and we can look at it, read it, discuss it.
That sounds good.
Okay, good.
Okay, so it sounds like then we have, and I'll do a little bit more refining on our district boundaries and look at a couple other non-contiguous monument inclusions examples
Wonderful.
to see what we might do.
Yeah, good
Thank
idea.
you.
What about the history? Someone was going to do some historical work. I can't remember.
Like
This whole
just a
thing is historical work.
history of the literature, history of the Lower Green.
Of the Lower Green, and there was sort of reference to, apart from the Native Americans, which we've now found a way we can get that, there were some other things I think along. But when we write up the whole sort
Yeah.
of background of history of the area,
Right, our narrative research, if you will,
Yeah,
as to why this is
narrative, yeah.
important.
we have to get started into that.
Okay.
Okay,
And that's
well,
something I
they,
can
also,
start to-
Robin, the Historical Commission,
Yeah.
has a project going on right now
Good
to
do that too.
do exactly that we could draw information off of. And that book by Smith, I pulled that up, made those copies, because that information on that is gonna be integrated into this thing. One of the members of the Historic Commission is working on that. So that would be a reference that we could draw things from for writing our section.
Would
Sure.
that be
Yeah.
something that, Lon, you, because you're connected with the historical commission
Yeah.
as well, would that be, and you know the area, that you might kind of pull together more of those resources that either you have or you know of, either put them on the Dropbox or share them with us?
Oh, yeah, and we've got one on it now.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that would be awesome.
Rich isn't done with his thing yet, but,
Sure, but
Yeah.
just stuff's out there, right,
yeah,
if we
if
start
nothing else,
accumulating.
his list of sources,
Yeah, source
references and things like
list.
this might be useful too.
Yeah, that would be really.
And
useful.
he'll have a copy of them too, not just the reference.
Right.
but-
Do we, do we have to do a letter to the Historic Commission, or is,
No, just
it's,
ask.
okay, all right.
No, if we're gonna take it, we might want to. I mean, because he's the one that's putting his time into. But it would be nice. I just think it would be nice if we ask for, let me find out what there is to ask for first.
Yeah, and just kind of, so that we do it
Yeah.
when we start
I
writing. we
put
have all the
that
resources.
thing that you've got on there, I put that together for him,
Perfect.
so, yeah.
Alright, so that's all on the Dropbox under Lon's flash drive.
Okay,
Okay.
So,
historical-
It's-
shall we look
It's
at,
the Smith book, it says something like
Yeah.
that.
shall, Vale Smith, so shall we look at our next meeting?
Yes.
Thanks, yeah.
So I propose a month from now?
Yes. Can I suggest, as I had a recommendation, the meeting is held after work hours, because there was a request from someone in Cottage Road who wanted to attend but couldn't during working out time.
I think the whole issue was the room.
Oh, we
Oh,
can
is it?
start, no, I mean,
No?
we're here right now after work hours, it's almost 6 o'clock on a Monday, so we just have to check the calendar is all.
Okay,
But there are definitely some times, I can look at the,
Yeah, it's
Calendar.
Tuesday at 7 o'clock is the select board.
right, and the planning board has a different, but we can make it work.
okay,
And the 13th won't work for me. because that's Historic Commission.
I feel that if we're,
Okay, there we go.
don't want to
Thursdays,
alienate
Tuesdays.
someone who wants to come along.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We were only thinking of our own schedules, so.
Yeah. This came from someone who's number 24 on the list, by the way. But anyway, so, but a month's time is good.
Let's see, I'm gonna try and see if I can pull up the town calendar right now, just to
Right.
see what's going on. And of course, I will have to like check this tomorrow if one of us could, I can. That's easy. I have questions for IT anyway on how to post some of these other documents, so I'll ask just to
Okay.
confirm that whatever we decide is available.
Okay.
April.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, looks like right now Tuesdays and Thursdays are not great.
All right.
And Mondays are not great for me typically.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Wednesday.
How about Friday night at 8 p.m.? No, I'm just kidding.
Not a good one. It's not fun. Let's see, that's.
I wish the camera had seen your face, Ally.
Only if we serve drinks.
Yeah, right.
Not on town
Hors
property.
d'oeuvres. Okay, so it looks like the 12th right now is open.
Okay,
That's a Wednesday.
12th is good for me. Is that good for everyone?
I think so.
We would also.
Usually
12?
Wednesday's okay.
Oh.
It's only till 3:30.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
actually
So 5:30?
if we want to be after work,
6:30? 5:30? I don't like it to go too late,
I
because
know.
this has already been like almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, do we think 5:30s?
5:30?
Would that be
Yeah.
possible for other work people? Yeah, that looks good for me
And here,
yes,
too. Yes.
excellent.
Okay, and I will triple check and I will email you guys tomorrow if that is not an option.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
I don't think I
Yeah.
can say it.
Aye.
second.
Okay, okay, aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.